Earth has attracted attention of many species of this galaxy. Who are they? Where do they come from? Why are they coming? Why are they taking us? For which purpose? So many questions yet to be answered. Hi everyone, welcome tonight to this impromptu video live where you will be able to ask questions and interact with us. Tonight we are going to talk about abductions and especially abductions by reptilians. Rachel and myself have had similar experience and we are going to tell you about it. And Rachel has a story that happened just last night. That's why we're doing that very quickly, because she could escape. She found a way to escape that everyone can do. So I'm going to first tell my story very quickly, and I will let you, Rachel, speaking. So this happened 1 year ago, and Rachel, I have a feedback with the sound. I hear myself. It's kind of making an echo. Can you try?
Yeah, I can maybe switch, put less volume and see if it works. Yes.
So while you do that, yes, perfect.
Much better sound here too.
Fantastic.
So, by the way, just before you start, Elena.
So, Rachel, before I start my story, you may introduce yourself for those who don't know you. Please, however you want to introduce yourself, just in few words. Who are you?
Well, you're a good friend of mine, and I'm very privileged to have Elena as a friend. We live very close, so I am an activator, I suppose, a light worker, a starseed, and have a background in Druidism, in lecturing, in Irish studies, and music. And music would be a very important aspect what I do. But I teach music, I write music, all type of activating music, or classical music, Irish music, rock, blues, all type of music, sound healer, and medium, psychic, soul passer as well. And last, I would say that this year is important. I think it's an important time to step up and share the experience and pass on the knowledge, and so that everyone can be activated and pull the knowledge together to make people more prepared for the transition that we're living at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. And so, as everyone can understand, you are someone who has very high abilities in spiritual domain and energy domain, and you are, as many of people like you, like us, first target for these predators. So very quickly, that you have an element of comparison. A year ago, I was abducted because I had that time no protection. I still didn't have my Merkaba. We are going to talk about these things yet. And so I was taken during the night on board a reptilian ship. This it's all in my book, but I show quickly the pictures. This kind of ship by this kind of person, and the atmosphere inside was very suffocating, very hot, and the smell was really not great at all. And so there were rooms where I saw small grays working like laboratories, like medical rooms with beds, and that scared me. And because it scared me, I sent a signal to Thorhan, who could send a team to rescue me. That was my story. But while I was there, I was like numb a little bit. My brain was a bit numb, and I didn't know where I was. And fear just woke me up. Sometimes fear is good because it tells you of a danger. And I got the following. Well, I in the fight, I was shot in the leg by an energy beam, and I took a photo of it. And so that's the interior of the ship. Where is it? It's difficult. It's mirrored. Here we go. Here.
Yes, sir, yes. Yes,
Here
sir.
we
Mm.
go. Okay, so that's my story as a comparison, very very quickly. So now, when Rachel told me this morning what happened to her, I clicked straight away. Went, oh gosh, that's what happened to you. So Rachel found a way to just, she wasn't rescued. She escaped herself. So Rachel, now please, uh, can you share your story? So you're very brave. I really honor your courage to talk straight away. The emotion is still here. The energy is still here. So that's
Yes.
why I want. Yeah. So
Well, let me introduce the fact that it was not my first encounter with malevolent galactics or ETs. 15 years ago, I was doing some, because I'm a soul passer, and I am I'm an earth keeper, if you like. I have a center, art, nature, and tradition here in Kerry, and I'm trying to pass on, the connection with nature and beauty and harmony, arts, nature, and traditions. 15 years ago, I was in a place with souterrains in the north west of Ireland, and that was my first encounter with sea cars. They were very scary beings. They were very scary. And then I had another experience with sea cars a few years ago, in 4 years ago, and the shape shifted into Nagas, and they wanted to draw me down. They came through a dream as well, and I was not afraid. So when this morning I felt I was being beamed up in a very quick way, to make a comparison with your story, Elena, there are a lot of parallels with your story, in the sense that first you almost like you had chloroform on your face. You're half dizzy, but not in a good way. Your brain is dulled down and
slow.
slow and dulled, and those beams were short frequency beam, not clear, lovely beams, but very short. To numb your brain, black and yellow. And then immediately I found myself in one of those ships you mentioned. It was like a hospital corridor, and it was stuffy. The atmosphere was so warm, stuffy, and there was a stench of rotten flesh and kind of laboratory smells of maybe formaldehyde and such, almost like being in a morgue, really, to be honest. And it was stuffy, and warm, but in a clammy way, not in a nice way. And the next, I could hear very clearly there are sounds of the clinging of glasses. Maybe it was little tubes. I don't know what they were doing, and then there was a big smoke of gray smoke, and through the smoke came through a face. So I was at that stage. I was very anxious, and as I couldn't get away from the beam, it kind of paralyzed me. So it made me very scared, I have to admit, like you. But at the difference, I was curious to see, because of the two previous experiences, I knew the shape shifting nagas and the sea cars, the bear faces were familiar. So I was not going to be afraid. I was actually curious more than afraid at that stage, because I was expecting a sea car, you know, the usual pointy face with the angry face, and I was getting ready. And then I saw something different. I was, wow, it's different this time. And it was triangular. Actually, I have your book. I'm going to show you what it looked like. It was this one here. I don't know. Let's see. This one here.
The black one?
The black one. But you see, the black one, but with the mandibles,
Okay.
with the little things of the second one. And they were very shiny insectoids, praying mantis. They didn't express anything. They didn't express any animosity, unlike the sea cars, were not being aggressive or nasty. They were just there, very blank, like a blank stare. We would have known. I was a bit taken aback. And by which time I was not afraid anymore. I was more curious. I said, oh, that's interesting. So I had a good look at them. I'm like, okay, they look like that. Okay. And then I decided, right, I might just go now. It was, thanks
I
to
had
you.
done that. I know.
I had a good look, but no, thank you, not interested. So I'm laughing, but it was quite scary and quite traumatic.
Yeah, it's
But at
nerves.
that stage, I was not afraid. I was more surprised. I had curiosity and surprise. And I was, oh, that's interesting. It's a new species. I've never seen that before. And I had that I was not scared, but I had this sense of using my Merkaba and making my quickly focus, because by that at that stage I had no fear. I was calm. I could activate the Merkaba, and in 1 second I was back on my bed. Once, a split second even, because it goes very fast both ways. You're beamed up, split second, really a split second, not even a second, probably a few milliseconds.
Teleportation. Yeah.
Yes, and then you're in that stuffy place with zombies in the corridors. You had people walking like zombies. They were practically naked with a. Do you know when you're going to have an operation in the hospital? Those kind of overalls, blouse that they put on you. Those blue, they're blue, and they had a blank stare. They're walking. A lot of them, like in a big corridor. And the stench was horrible, and the noise, and it felt very uncomfortable. That was horrible. That was the most traumatic part. When they came, and I was thinking, let's see who it is, because I had dealt with them twice. I knew if you're not afraid, it's a good thing. Yeah. And because I also, as a soul passer, I'm used to seeing multidimensional beings or spirits of people who have passed, or animals as well who have passed, and spirit animals. And I'm, as a shaman as well, you're used to deal with the two worlds, the world of spirits. So I was quite familiar with something very different, if you like, and not afraid. That's the key thing, I think. If you're not afraid, and if you have security protocol like activating your Merkaba, that will save your life. If you're panicking, and if you offer yourself on a plate to them, if you like, what you didn't say. And I have to thank you, Elena, because I've known this protocol thanks to you, the Merkaba. I had heard of it before. I was doing Nassim Haramein and Jonathan Goldman. Yes, I have a big one as well.
That's a Merkaba. Yes, I think at this stage, yes, everyone has heard about Merkaba. We show for those who haven't heard yet. That's it.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to talk about that more. I have a drawing more that's what it looks like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Could you? You've seen also small grays in the ship.
No, to be quite honest, no.
Okay.
I didn't have time, but I saw zombies, like humans they looked like you or me, but they had a blank stare and they're walking like zombies in the corridors, like in a bad zombie movie, with those kind of somewhere in blue, light blue, a bit like that. Those those blouse from the hospitals,
Yeah.
and somewhere white, and the gaze was really blank, like if they were soul scalped or something. I don't know, but there was quite a lot of them, like um, a crowd of them coming, and I think I just crossed them. They were taking me across that corridor to a room, and I heard I heard the clinging of the glasses. They're probably preparing tubes, or they might, and then I saw that smoke, and also this rotten stench, and this stuffy, warm atmosphere that was really, really not comfortable. But, but then I started seeing there's a few of them, a few insectoids, a few mantis, as you call them, the acara, I think in your book, Elena.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
So you saw
Akari
Akara
mantis.
Akara mantis. Yes.
Mhm.
You saw the black one. Well, you saw so they appear in front of you, and what was your interaction with them? What before you
They
decided?
were just looking at me in a curious way, and I
Yeah.
saw one very clearly. He just emerged from that smoke, and it was that praying mantis face with a triangular face with those big eyes on the side with those two dangling little mandibles with little uh, carapace kitting, like insect kind of a coating that insect had.
Coating, yeah, the glossy coating, exoskeleton.
Yes, an exoskeleton, very glossy black, glossy and black, really, like Darth Vader, the glossy and
Yeah.
black, same, very, very. But they had that kind of torso, like when I was younger, I used to be interested in naturalism, and I used to have insects. I used to keep insects when I was 14. The book. So I was looking at carabs. Carab, I don't know how you say in English. Carab. It's a kind of an insect with two or three torsos, an abdomen,
Okay.
a bit like a wasp with three
Yes.
parts abdomen. But this time it was black, like a carab, like that kind of insect.
Okay.
Find,
Okay.
but definitely a praying mantis kind of look, and very tall, 3 meters, 9 feet tall, very tall. No, I couldn't read them. I was expecting some kind of interaction. They were more surprised. They were kind of looking at me with surprise. They started looking at me, but there was not like the reptilians, very aggressive. Um, no,
They're
they
fine.
was very, and in a way, they could even have been very soft and gentle. It was absolutely neutral. Their look was quite neutral, which I was a bit taken aback, but I had a feeling that was not going to be turning good. I had a feeling their brain was very analytical, and they were kind of looking, okay, let's look at her. How are we going to do this? How are we going to
They
proceed with?
were intrigued.
They were intrigued. There was definitely an intrigue, but they were trying to work out a very calm, rational, non-emotional way of interacting with me and being very specific. You could see a very meticulous mind at work, like a mathematician almost, or a cold scientist was carrying out an experiment. And I didn't want to be the guinea pig. I could feel, because a few of them arrived then, there's 3 of them. And they were looking, and they were like thinking, you could see they were thinking. And because they're a rational being, they're trying to think, okay, well, let's assess this patient or this guinea pig or whatever, and what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And then at that stage, they started to go. And I was not afraid, thanks for my previous experience of not being afraid of evil. I've a 25-year experience. I would not recommend to be too brave. You need to have these things take time. You need to gain experience, but nevertheless, there are, I think, Helena, protocols that you can use to get out of a situation. I see the 2 I would mention would be: 1, no fear. Whatever you do, try not to be fearful.
Yeah.
Try to be calm and collected, like I was, almost relaxed, because it's almost business as usual for me. Spirits, evil spirits, good spirits. You know. And the next is very important is using the Merkaba, because that really protects you, and it's as an interdimensional device. It will enable you, first of all, to protect you, and also to change dimension very quickly. And I was lucky. I just decided, okay, now I focused, and I put it on, and I activated it. The two triangles swirling contrary to each other, and in less than 1 second, I was back on my bed, and everything stopped. The sound, the smells, the horrible stench, the horrible clammy, warm, unpleasant atmosphere. Everything was gone. And you're not in a dream as well. It's very vivid, like you are there. It's not a dream. It's not even a lucid dream. It's a natural. Your body is out there. It's you. It's so vivid. It's so. You have those senses are exacerbated. All the smells and the hearing and the vision and the feelings all together. You're not dreaming.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Merkaba, so what I put down in the links a video I made on how to build your light Merkaba, so that you can watch this one. The fact that you said you turned the two parts, different direction, opposite directions, that creates a dimensional shift, and it's like that you travel. You transported yourself where your consciousness wanted to go. You wanted to go back home in your bed, and you just
Yes.
activated it, and you were there in your bed. That's a very powerful. If you manage to if you train how to build your Merkaba of light, this is a very powerful transport device. It can be called a light ship as well, but it will if you move the both in two directions, opposite directions, you twist them to, yeah, you just transport yourself wherever you think.
Yes, and there's also another, maybe a third thing. So one, no fear. Two, use the Merkaba in a contrary way, in opposite directions, the two triangles in opposite directions. And three, I would say you need to get experience getting out of your body and back into your body, because that'll, otherwise the first time it happens, it can be very. I mean, I think the first time I got out of my body was 21, 30 years ago, over 40 years ago. So it takes training, and if you as a shaman, if you get it out of your body, you don't need. You see, everyone can do that, but if you train, no fear, the Merkaba, counterclockwise, clockwise, and getting in and out of your body, your light body, if you like, getting in and out of your avatar. It takes practice, and it takes getting used to as well, because the first time it can be a bit difficult when you come back into your body. It can be very sudden. And I was activated in 2012 in the 5D. So in 2012, I wanted to say, because of my background, I was in 5 density. In 2012, I could be at different places at different time, at the same time, but 2 different places, living 2 different realities at the same time. So it can be a bit confusing for people in the beginning, but those things make you familiar with the new reality now, the new era that we're going to be living in, that we are living in. But people have to be prepared and familiarize themselves. But sometimes it just happens. But if you meditate, if you can activate, because those things that I do or that you do, Elena, yes, it's maybe not everybody, but potentially we can all do it, everyone, because it's in our DNA, and it's nothing that the former humans didn't know. They all did that, and more, and way more. And maybe I think the new generations of people, the young people, are going to be even more um, activated with even more power. And you see the power of your mind, the power of your mind. If I hadn't decided I'm going, I decide I'm leaving this place with no fear. Because we're always waiting for a savior, for God the savior, or
Or
the
Thoran.
little white rabbit, or the beautiful Toran, or I should say the handsome Toran, should I say, or whoever else. We're waiting for the government. We're waiting for X, Y, Z. You can fill in the blank. We're waiting for an external something that we idolize, a guru. But bear in mind, the guru dazzles and is all bright, and the guru shines, but the master is transparent, like this. And we're only using crystals like former species of human that used to live on our planet a long, long, long time ago. Like I'm thinking of the maybe Agartha or the Atlanteans or people like that. And it's just about remembering, and you can activate gradually by remembering. But you need to have the mindset that you're not going to be waiting for an external savior, because people say, "Oh, yes, I've a spirit in my body," but the body is in the spirit. It's the other way around. We are interconnected. We're a fractal of source, which means we are activated as God, really, particles, and every particle of God or source or whatever people will call them, different time and space, different names, but that source there, that divine source, we are all this, a fractal of that source. Therefore, by analogy, we are gods, and we have all the powers within us. It's just accessing those powers, and it takes time to and you do stumble, you make mistakes, and you get better, and you understand. It's practice. It's a bit like I teach. It's practice, but be convinced and start shifting the mindset from being a child to being an adult, from being a dependent to become autonomous, because we have everything within us. Last thing I would say is this very important point, I think, because if you're in that situation, it was utterly scary and traumatic. It was, because I didn't know where I was, and it was horrible, and you could feel, you had a feeling that it was not going to be a good experience. You had a kind of foreboding that something very bad was going to happen to you. And in a lot of cases, it does. Elena, you know.
Yes, I know it. And I can't help thinking about all these people that you saw. What was their fate? It is very, very upsetting to think about that. You could escape because you followed your protocol, but these people walking like zombies, that's really upsetting to imagine what they are going to become of them. Um,
We had yes,
you
we
know,
had just a blank there.
I have a question here. Somebody, is it good to keep crystals and gems on your bedside while we sleep?
Yes, yes, I would say. What do you say, Elena?
Yes, I sleep with mine, and I sleep with mine, so it's in my bed. You can have one, and so this thing, the Merkaba, the Metatron as well, which is a flat version of the Merkaba. Um, this device, it is an interdimensional device. It creates higher frequencies and it blinds them, because reptilians and the greys, they strive on lower frequencies. So
Oh
this
yeah,
thing just they can't stand it. You just get invisible when you activate it. You're invisible to them and untouchable. They won't approach, and it can even burn them if they are too close. So that's something. Yes, true. So I would recommend. So we can also, before going to bed, if we think we feel threatened, create this Merkaba of light before going to bed. It may not last whole night, but if you do that every night, it will last longer and longer and longer each time because you will become good at it. And after that, it will last all night and you'll be fine, you know? So, and that works. And no fear.
Yes, and exactly. That's a very good point you're making. To practice, as I said, the more you practice, the more powerful the effectiveness of what you're doing, because you can create your emitter transmitters of light, and we're crystals in our body, and we're activating the carbon into crystals, and we're reactivating memories. And what I do is I have another by the bed. I have another big crystal, and I use it from. I've been using it for years, to with different things. But basically, you can use those crystals to answer this person's. I forgot. Sorry, your name. Who
Um,
about,
I lost the line. um, where are you, Mister um, Leaf?
Leaf. Oh, it's a man. Sorry, Leaf. Sorry, Leaf. I just want to say you can charge during the day your crystal with intention, and you can use the light. I usually use the sunlight, and I charge it full of light, and during the night I have the transfer of light. I'm imagining I am a big crystal filled with light, and of course if you have a shape like this, it's going to protect you. But there's a point, Elena, that's important, that I made mistakes before with that, and this time, thanks to you, I did not, is because before I was beaming directly from my heart to the sea cars, and it burns them and they go, but they have a link. So it's not, that was a mistake. That was my mistake. But you see, that's what I'm saying. We learn, we make mistakes, and we learn better. And this advice from Toran, I think, was speaking about it, and yourself, that you have to do a kind of a lateral, not direct, but,
Field.
field of like a little a little bowl, in the discos. It has to be, the light has to be emitted sideways, and this way they're blinded, but they have no contact with you. They cannot trace you back. And
Yeah.
this is very important, because there's one thing you cannot, you even if you're not afraid, because you have created a link, they will trace you back with that link. And I did that with my first C car, but he didn't like it. He was so aggressive. I said, "Oh, my darling." I was not afraid of him. I said, "Oh, my darling." Can you imagine it? It's a very aggressive C car with angry eyes, pointy chin. "Ah!" And I said, "Oh, my darling, you look so annoyed. Come, I give you a big hug." And he didn't. He was like, "Ah!" And he went away.
Yeah, laughter, derision, laughter, and
Yes.
that's the best weapon, laughter, because laughter puts you in a higher vibration, and you're so pathetic. And there's another way that works a lot as well. If you feel they are whatever species beaming in your bedroom to try to take you, anyway, that's not nice. That's not nice ones. You just go, you take this attitude like, oh, not again, get the fuck out of my house. That I do not consent. You say, I do not consent to be taken, just to get the hell out of here. And really firm. And and you know what, it works. There's many testimonies, people have done that. Stand up, now you get out of here, and no fear, because you say get out of here and you shake inside, doesn't work.
No, but you see, you need to be doing that very quickly, because they beam you up in a few milliseconds, and there's a sense of powerlessness. You're in that beam and you can't move. You're paralyzed, and this sense of powerlessness is a source of anxiety and fear. So you need to, as you start feeling that kind of pull that is sucking you, either pulling you down or pulling you up into a beam on a ship, that's immediately you need to do that. No fear, and you do what Elena says, but it has to be quick.
Very quick, very quick. So we have a question here from Rainia.
Mhm.
No, that's not the one talking about eBay. Where was it? Oh, that's this one. Kara, is it possible to have been abducted during sleep and to not remember or be consciously aware it took place? Yes. The thing
Yes.
is,
Hmm.
if I could remember, Rachel could remember, many people can remember, it's because we have psychic abilities a little bit more developed. Some people who are not yet at this stage may not remember. So that can happen, that you don't remember and you see marks sometimes on your skin, for instance. But what you have a feeling there's something wrong. Your subconscious, even if your mind is wiped, uh, it's not wiped, it's hidden, it's somewhere else, disconnected, because by hypnosis you can find it again. So even if your mind is just tricked, your subconscious and your body remembers. So you
Yes.
know something's wrong, so you
Yes.
can just enter in a state of meditation. I suggest meditate and go back into this feeling of something wrong and see what comes out of it.
Mm.
And train and train. Try to remember your dreams as well. And you will train this and develop your memory. And we can all remember because it's in us. It's there somewhere in our head. We can, if we connect. What do you think, Rachel? What would you
Well, I
recommend?
think you're absolutely right. What I'll add simply is that if you put yourself in a state of hypnosis, yourself, like a certain frequency, if you like, of your brain, that will induce a state of trance. You know, like trance music, or then it's easier. It's accessing parts of your brain that is subconscious, and it's actually help you retrieve that information because it's interdimensional as well. So if you have a memory that's been, I'm thinking of I don't know you, but from your question, I see that you probably were afraid to remember. It was traumatic. So the subconscious, there's a part of you that clams up, but you know your subconscious knows. So if you get back to that stage of, or you can use a hypnotist as well, but with music, or you can get back in that stage and ask anything, and you can retrieve information within you, and also at like I was saying, the five density, you can have this within you and elsewhere as well. If it's been retrieved, it can you can retrieve everything. It's beyond time and space
Yeah.
through those wavelengths.
So Leaf gives us another advice.
Ah, really machete. Actually, I have to sharpen up the sharpening. Well, you don't have the time. I'm sorry, Leaf, but you wouldn't have the time to use the machete because it's split second. By the time you reach for it, you're already beamed up.
True. That's true. And yeah, that's true. Well, you never know. You can be quick. So
No, Michelle says surely reptilians and greys wouldn't respect consent. Well, no, I disagree with that. You see, if you're really expressing no fear, they will, and if you vibrate high and express no fear, they will leave you alone. They have no choice. If I had them clinging at me, sorry, Elena, I take over a bit, but it's
what
something I'll listen to what you say because you're also very
yours?
experienced. What I wanted to say to answer this, I think it's not that they respect consent, is they realize that the vibration is too high and it hurts them. So it's the case of expressing you're not you say I do not consent, and you put something with lots of peace and love and happiness, and it's going to vibrate high, and they will try to bring your vibration down into fear and anger, and so because once they got you into those low vibrational states, it's
They
easy
can
for
cut
them
you.
to seize you. But if you say, look, guys, you really think I'm going to go as down as you? Ha! I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. And you can have a laugh, or you can just laugh, make fun of them, or just do the Merkaba, not directly, but give love. Imagine you're a star, you're that little gyroscopic. Imagine the Saturday Night Fever and the gyroscopic, and you're putting love and colors around, and you're dancing, and that will burn them. It'll be too high out of their reach totally. So in
See
that
them,
way,
yeah, see them with a ballerina tutu and pink.
no, but it's high vibration versus low vibrations. So
Yeah.
you can say, look, guys, no, I don't consent to this. Come on, you're too low for me. I got friends in low places, but not that low.
Cecile tells us that it worked for her to say no with strong intent. So that's another testimony. So Cecile, you were during sleep, you became aware of a tranquilizing happening. See, like these people on the ship, and an energetic pulling at the back of the neck. But you say no with strong intent, and they obviously left you alone. So that's a good, interesting testimony.
Remember, Elena, that story about Chrome. Could we mention Chrome quickly? Because I'm living near a lake, and I had an experience of, again, an interdimensional experience, and it's kind of two mountains, and it's a deep lake, and at the back of the lake there are very deep crevices, souterrains, natural souterrains, and there was some evil being there for years or generations, hundreds of years, and I happened to be in contact with them, and one day I said, I do not consent. I didn't hear them. I didn't see them. I didn't smell the death. I didn't. All the bad experiences were gone because I said, no, that's it now. I do not consent. So consent is with no fear is, I think, very powerful.
Yes,
Like
yes,
the stick back there. I think you had an experience with it where you put the stick back as well, and
yeah,
we abandoned all the negative, low vibrational states of things, and we reclaim our power, autonomy, or power, or power of love,
yes.
and power of free will. And the consent is key.
Yes, and Quentin says something very important. Since I have fully embodied my true nature as a light being, I can assure you that they are not coming anymore. They fear the highest vibrations. Yeah, here we go.
Very planting,
Here we
totally.
go. So I'm going to see if you have other questions. There's a lot of testimonies of people who have experienced abductions, and so to tell you about these insectoid beings that we call the mantids. They are doctors, so they come. That's the knowledge I gained from what I was taught by Thora and my rescuers. Um, these beings, they come from, I show you them to you again. They come from another galaxy they are interdimensional beings. They come from the galaxy M 104. They call themselves Akara, and they are scientists. They come to study. They are striving on the thirst for knowledge, scientific knowledge, medical knowledge. They study species, and they are very, very good at it. They are the best, and they're often called the doctors. So these beings, they do not have the same ethics as we do, for instance, and as many other species do. Um, their ethics won't be based on, for instance, do no harm, or it's wrong to do this to somebody. They don't have that. They just study. And you felt it, Rachel, when you said they were emotionless, just
Yeah,
curious.
they were
It's
curious, and you could see the scientific mind at play. You knew they were thinking, they were processing information in a logical, rush, that logical deductive way. You could see there was no emotions, and it struck me that there was no animosity either. There was more curiosity on their part, no
Yes.
animosity as such. That's what you're saying. I couldn't really read their expressions. In a way, they could have been very soft beings as well. You think of there was a softness, a goodness in them as well, which is very
Yes, there
peculiar.
are there are three species, three different categories. There's the green, the white, and the black. So you saw the black subspecies, and with the black glossy exoskeleton. Normally, these ones are good. These ones are appearing always first because they're extra dimensional. They're appearing first as a smoky shadow,
Yes,
and
like
then you can sometimes you can see them. But normally these ones are the less harmful. They are very peaceful, and sometimes they help for good to they help.
and I read that they're very good with energy work in
Yes,
your book. But also, I wanted to say they're black, but I saw another one with those mandibles underneath.
mandibles.
It was
Yeah,
like you could see the doctors examining um, a subject of study on the table, on a
that's
medical
it.
table. That was
And
like
they are not soldiers or conquerors, so they will work as not mercenaries, but at the service of, they will exchange their services with anyone, good or bad. For instance, so this was a reptilian ship that was very typical. So they were offering these services to these despicable beings, but without any problems of ethics, because that's how they are. They don't have ethics like us. But sometimes they can also work for the Council of Five, or they are like at service, and they just um, exchange their services against materials to study. The reptilians provide, the greys provide, they study, they do their stuff, their genetic experiments. So that's what we know of these beings.
yes, and also that they feed on humans as well, on
Yeah.
human parts as well. So you see, you understand why I didn't want to stay too long. I,
Yes. Yes.
hence the protocols of training yourself with no fear, the Merkaba. What else did we say? We said the consent, and if you already train yourself to protect yourself with the Merkaba, being used in a way that's lateral, that's not direct, and then just go back into yourself and create it, and realizing that you in your mind is your mind is can create anything. Getting used to getting in and out of your body, and trusting that your mind will take you everywhere. You can create everything. You vibrate, you create it. Your thought creates your reality by vibration. So on some stage, when you have you are as you become more and more activated, you can create faster and faster, and things manifest quick, very quick and instant after. It's a process, but it's amazing how quickly it is, because it's beyond time and space. It's interdimensional, but you have everything within you. It doesn't mean it doesn't help, Elena, to have protectors, because it does, and it surely does, and it's fantastic. I mean, but it's also possible to do it yourself.
Yes, that was the aim of this video. That you are all aware. And this woman here testifies here testifies that she did it herself. She beamed herself out of a ship. It was a bit yeah,
But
this
this
one.
woman
This
is
one.
amazing, and if I didn't have this woman, I wouldn't have known how to use the Merkaba properly. That she taught me that, and she activated me so many times. So we can all activate, each other, and share the knowledge, so that it becomes more widespread, and people won't think that we're completely crazy, I have to admit, even though I had all these abilities, uh, for a long time I didn't connect with. To me, the alien, the concept of alien was alien to me. I thought, no, surely no. And I had all these things coming. I had the reptilians in my third eye and all that. And then, with when Elena started speaking about her experience, it all makes sense. I said, oh my God, I knew I started connecting the dots, and of course I connected with your protector Toran so directly. So I was, oh my God, what's this? And then you see it's incremental. It's gradual. You go and you develop. So it is possible to just being or at our own center. And yes, there will be malevolent species and you can fall prey to them, but there are ways to circumvent them, and don't be afraid, even though it is quite traumatic. It's as I'm sure everyone who's been abducted knows, it's quite traumatic, because you feel helpless, but in fact you're not helpless. You can find the resources and the skills to do it from within you.
Yes, this is very important. We can all do this. If we said all, the first key and the key to unlock the protocol is no fear. Imagine the nutcracker tutu mallet thing. Imagine funny thing. Yes. Imagine funny thing.
Being crazy, yes,
Yes,
making fun of
yes.
the situation to diffuse the low vibrations. Because when you start laughing at something, the vibrations go up, and it puts you already away from their claws, like they're trying to bring you down. And hence, you can imagine the amount of barrage of fake psyop information going on in the world at the moment, to induce everything that is inducing fear and anguish and anger as well in people, and frustration and despair. And this is what they do. They're very good at manipulating your senses. So I found, to cut directly through that, laughter and no fear, laughter, sense of humor, make the humor, sing them like a big hippopotamus with a little tutu around.
Yes, and somebody was two people were asking why are they scared of afraid of high vibrations. I think that tells it, because when you are in high vibration, they can't catch you. You are untouchable because it's not the same range. You're protected. They can't catch you. So they will do whatever they can to lower down your vibration at their level of vibration by fear, and then they can take them with you because fear is consent.
Yes, I also by love and peace, because one day, the second time I was actually that night, I was just back from Spain, so I didn't have that at all in my mind. But it was, for some reason, it was the last flight we took. The last flight from Spain, it was a direct flight to Kerry back direct. So here I am in Ireland. I was still thinking of the lovely, beaches I was not in a mindset for that at all. But then I had, because it was Samhain, and I had people, lost souls as I call them. I'm a soul pastor. They came to my third eye, and of course I opened, because they could see my light. I opened the passage to the light. So all those lost souls came flocking in, and I passed them. So of course it triggered the anger of reptilians, and they came to me, and they were trying to drag me down, and they were really trying to drag me down, and I could feel myself going down and being totally glued in, and it was, my senses were getting duller. And then I started connecting with the light and love and peace, and then I could feel myself going back up, and they're losing their grip, a bit like a tug of war, And I was just thinking, oh no, you're not going to do that, because I'm just going to connect. And I was bringing my lovely white light, loving light, back, and I could feel them slipping, down. So I was like, shit, it's slipping, it's slipping. And eventually they just let go because I was back up. And then they changed tactics. They were shape shifting into they started shape shifting into a sea car, angry sea car. But I said, oh, my old friend, I've seen you before. How are you? It was me. And then the second was like a kayak, because they go with what the people have as a representation, like a half moon, And I say, oh, kayak, I really love you. I always sing about you. How are you? So they changed again into a big reptilian naga eye, massive yellow, kind of greenish yellow with lots of red scales all around. And half a second, I was like, that's big. And then they just disappeared because the other thing is, after a while, if they see you're not going to be pondering, if you're not going to be manipulated and in fear, they're wasting their times.
And
So,
that's the thing they do generally in the world as well to the population. They send scary things, scary messages.
yeah,
And
monsters, super creeps. Yes, yes.
so yes, I see very quickly different people asking, because they all these species we're mentioning, the cicars, the mantids, they are explained in my book. The white, I've seen many questions about the white mantids very quickly. So there are three types: the green, the white, and the black. And three types have different characteristic. So the green subspecies would be those with the long, thin leg, tubular butt, and they have wings. The green ones have wings. They have yellow eyes with a narrow vertical split, and they are working. They're not even working; they are enslaved to the Orion Alliance and the Grey Collective. The black we've seen that Rachel met, they're called also tall blacks, and their body they're recognizable by their shining um, exoskeleton. They usually they have more humanoid features, and they have glowing eyes, and they also work with the greys, but they also work for their own curiosity scientific programs. They sometimes also assist the Terrans, the Earth people, in consciousness awakening. So they do different things. They're very intriguing people because they can work either for despicable mean or good things. The whites, as you ask, they're usually working or enslaved to the Zeta Reticuli, small grays, and tall grays as well, and also the Orion grays. They have three pairs of legs, generally terminated by pointy appendages. They have faceted eyes, and the mandibles as well are very, very long, longer than the other ones. So you find all these details in my books, and as well when you hear testimonies of other abductees as well, people relate the same things. So yes, Rachel.
I just wanted to mention at that stage that everything that is in Elena's book so far is 100% match with my real experience, and I'm sure many abductees can relate to the information that is in Elena's as 100% correct or faithful to what they experience. So it's quite an amazing feat to have a book that is putting what and how and what does it look like, and being able to actually see that there's 100% match between what the vision of the aliens you saw and find it in this book. It's a really amazing piece of work because, it's
I think the connection.
you
Maybe
don't know who does that and why and to which purpose, and the fact that you have these informations in a book like that is invaluable, because it helps you make sense and kind of say, oh yeah, it's this category of people. This is how they operate. This is the shape of their shift. This is how it feels like. This is what they do. The different categories or subcategories in the same race. And at least it's less traumatic of saying, oh my God, what happened to me? I have no idea. They were just scary. It helps to process the trauma and be more rationally processing it with a view to being peaceful then. And you have more knowledge and you're less afraid, because that's a very important point. That was not my first encounter with aliens, so I was not afraid. And the more you know, the less afraid you are.
Yes,
So
this is
compared
it.
to Elena, because everything that was in her book was 100% matched with my experience, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who told you this.
Yes. And I see there's a lot of testimony in the chat. So the chat will stay available. And then you can, when this video is finished, you can keep on sharing your experiences in the comments below that I keep open. And then we can follow up this chat. But the purpose was really tonight to tell that this woman escaped by herself from a ship and that
Mm.
you can all do it.
We can all do it. Just train yourself. No fear. This is the protocol. Maybe we can sum it up. We've summed it up, but very important to train yourself to meditate and realize that our thoughts can create realities. Then use the five density activation is easier, but it all develops. It's a process. But the more you practice certain things like getting out of your body or putting your Merkaba on working on telepathy, working on several levels, different planes of consciousness or realities. And then I would strongly, no, I wasn't paid or anything, but I would really genuinely recognize this is a very valuable book for years to come, because who knows, people will become more activated, and those guys might decide, let's get this, and you will have a protocol into place. You'll remember, oh yeah, there are the insectoids, there's the matras, there's the greys, there's whatever, this Orion alliance. You will get the knowledge build up, and you'll be less afraid. You'll know already a certain amount, and you'll know who they are. You know what to do, and then what to do to come back and be peaceful. And it's almost like, oh yeah, I went yesterday and got myself a bag of pears or oranges. It becomes almost something that you do, because you become your true person. You activate who you truly are. And I think now in the world globally, I think there's this shift in consciousness. Maybe there's differential levels, but people will more and more reclaim their own autonomy, their own inner power, their own free will, and they realize that we're all interconnected. We can all create and vibrate beautiful reality, and we don't need a father, we don't need a god, we don't need a mother, to tell us what to do. We don't need someone else external. We can just go back in there and find everything we need. This is the big portal. This is a big portal here. And everything is within us. And more, I think that's how the human race is going to evolve, activate all the codons of DNA and stop being angry at governments, because clearly they're not there for your own good. Stop being frustrated about this or that outside. Be proactive. Start taking your life into your hands. Start, and this is an example. It starts with no fear. You understand their agenda and how they operate. They operate with the big scaremongering. They do everything to make people scared, to remove their humanity. And if you become a full human, you're going to be vibrating high and be super kind and loving and radiating, and you're above problems. And even if you find yourself into a ship, just remain calm, a bit like in a plane, just remain calm, breathe, and just focus inwardly. Activate your Merkaba. But that's not the only way. It's not just a Merkaba. There are other ways as well. But I think crystal technology is quite effective at our level. There are further down that I know I've been shown already, maybe in 50, 70 years, there'll be other systems, but practically for humans right now, I think that is a very effective tool. There are even more instant tools that we can use. But the higher you go in densities, the easier it is then to shift. Isn't that right, Elena?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, totally
So,
agree with that.
but it's not for everybody. It starts with practical, effective tools, and this is a practical, effective tools. It's already advanced probably, but maybe go back if in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years before the end of the century, I think we will have a shift of consciousness. And what we're talking about, that people will say, "Oh, look, Cro-Magnons." But that's what I mean. There will be more
Yes.
evolved. But this is what we have at disposal now. We can use the Merkaba, no fear. Get used to get in and out of your body, vibrate high, laugh, express your free will of I do not consent. I do not consent. The power of intention. Your mind is amazing. You can create everything with your mind. This is not a new thing. In many traditions, there's a powerful meditation from the monks, the Tibetan monks in the Himalayas they go practically naked into the snow and they stay there. And the reason they're not dying of the cold is because they're meditating and they're creating a fire within themselves. And the proof is they can stay several hours like that in the freezing cold. And because your mind has that power to activate on some level, if your body is aligned, it's possible. And we feel we're not confident enough as humans we think we need something external, a higher power. But the higher power is within us, not outside. We are the higher power, and we are all related. So we are all higher powers of each other.
This is beautiful words and absolutely helping and inspiring, Rachel. And so I
Oh,
think,
Elena, I mean, without you, I wouldn't have known what to do. So big thanks, because I was using my Merkaba wrong. I was, using I explained, don't directly send love to these guys because it creates a cord and then they can trace you back, a bit like a signal from those phones, just do radially. And then life is the same. Give your love radially, not just to your little circle and your family, because we're all part of the same. So give your love radially to everywhere, and that's the 5D. It doesn't matter where you are. It's the butterfly
definitely,
effect.
the 5D is a state of consciousness, of higher vibration, higher consciousness.
And
It's
there's
not,
always higher as well, higher and higher. Who was singing that? Was that Sly and the Family Stones? I'm gonna take you higher.
and that's it. And I always say, high five. So,
Yes.
listen, Rachel, thank you so much for your courage and testimony. And as your day started with scary feelings, it ends with laughter, and that's how everything needs to be.
Yes, and this woman is amazing. She helped me. She helped me make sense of what it was. And she says, "Go look at the book, page 209, and you'll see." And I was shocked. It's such a great book. So just get this book. It's so far I don't know a better book. I've seen a few books about aliens that plus the illustrations are extremely accurate, and every description, honestly, a 100% match between my experience and what is described in this way, and there's more even information. So it's It's a must, I think. So
Thank
thank
you.
you, Elena, for this, and hopefully you can stay happy and peaceful, and cuddle the cats and the animals and be in nature and connect with beauty, because this world is full of beauty and love and tenderness. And when you start seeing the narratives of you say, oh, okay, it's a film, but I can decide not to be part of it.
Yes,
Yes,
that's it.
that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much, Rachel. And I think
thank you so much,
this
Elena.
is going to help so many people. So, bye everyone. There's a
Bye
tutorial
bye.
video how to do your Merkaba down below, and keep it high.
Yes, yes, guys, wherever you are. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.